welcome to Market Savvy Conversations. My name is Megan Walker, the Director of Market Savvy, and today our very special guest is Yanni Sopanos, who is the CEO of Core Plus and Health Tech X. Hi Yanni, how you going?
Great, thanks Megan. That was really professional. I loved it.
Thanks. Now, folks, we have to warn you up front. Yanni and I talk on a regular basis about all things innovative and futuristic, and Yanni has the most incredible and wonderful ideas about how health practices can grow and work smarter and not harder. And so there's going to be a lot. This is the warning. There's going to be a lot that we cover in this. We could go down a few rabbit holes, but guaranteed you're going to walk away with some fresh thinking and some ideas of, hey, I could be delivering and serving my amazing healthcare to my clients in a lighter and easier way. What do you reckon, Yanni?
Let's do it. Let's add some value to people.
Sounds great. So predominantly what we're going to be talking about is evolving your virtual clinic. So how do we evolve the current model of healthcare so that you're not hitting burnout? You're able to reach your clients at scale. You're able to grow. You're able to serve, be sustainable, but reach people in a way that is smarter than the traditional bricks and mortar. So Yanni, kick us off. What does a virtual clinic look like?
Well, there's two broad concepts around it. One is the 100% virtual clinic, and the other one is an expansion of the traditional in-person clinic to incorporate digital-first healthcare service design. So the fully virtual clinic obviously has no fixed address for any clients to physically attend to. And so the actual service delivery model there is either totally online through a telehealth framework, or it's itinerant in respect of visiting clients at their own locations. They could be home care or other locations that the healthcare professional actually goes to. So you can think about that as itinerant or mobile healthcare. The other version of it is taking the traditional bricks and mortar healthcare business and starting to build out the digital fabric that fills up the space between those traditional in-person physical appointments and starts to evolve that. And I think that's probably the biggest opportunity that allied health has right now.
Okay. So we can definitely say as a benefit of this, you could be working and living where you love and serving your people wherever they are.
Yeah, 100%. I kind of break it down into four kind of my references. I call them my references. So, or you could think about it as you references. But for each person working in healthcare, you can think about what's the impact on me personally when we implement a virtual practice or we implement a digital first healthcare service model, and how would that benefit me? The big wins there. Well, actually, let me just sum down. I'll summarize the four my's, and then we'll go into each one of those if you like. So there's kind of there's the my relationship or myself relationship with digital first healthcare service design. Then there's my clients and what impact it has on them, and how it actually is more convenient, potentially for them. It's a better user experience in terms of how they interact with the healthcare system. So it's more anywhere, anytime for them. Then there's my team or my practice. So depending on whether you're part of a team or whether you own a business, you're thinking about the wraparound on how productivity works across the team and across the practice. And then there's my peers, which I use a number of synonyms like referrers or partners or collaborators around a shared client and how that actually works. So myself, my clients, my practice or my team, and my peers is where we get all of these big gains when we start thinking in digital terms and we start thinking about how we scale it. So to your point around the burnout, I think there is definitely a model here where a person who perhaps is living in an area because that's the only place that they can be in order to do the work, they can now reimagine that idea and start to think about what's personally aligned with them. What location do they want to live in? Do they want to be near the beach? Do they want to be a little bit rural? Do they want to be a little bit up in the mountains? Do they want to be, further away from the city? Whatever choices an individual has in terms of where they want to actually live on this planet, they can actually make that decision now, knowing that there is a growing contingent of allied healthcare practices that are building virtualized healthcare service delivery models. And so that means that you don't have to be in that physical location for some types of healthcare. So that is a massive opportunity to actually say, how do I want to live? And in doing that, I can actually still have a professional occupation and earn some money in the process in order to fund that particular lifestyle.
I love that. And so, we've got psychologists who are based on Hamilton Island who are supporting clients in Darwin.
Yeah.
And the other benefit that I love about this is the hyper-specialization, that you can claim your area of expertise, helping women traverse the challenges of menopause and seek out women who've got those specific challenges wherever they are located. I love the marketing angle for that, like build your tribe from wherever they are. What are there other benefits that you can think of for this model over having a traditional clinic, in addition to, working where you love, having that flexibility?
Yeah, 100%. There's the actual, where do I begin? Let's see if I can slow my brain down for a moment. So the some of the key benefits or some of the key advantages are scalability. So scalability in healthcare means that we can move away from being 100% in-person, one-to-one. And so a lot of allied health would relate to that. You attend an appointment with a client and you have to physically be there for 45 or 50 minutes in order to support that client. And then you move on to the next appointment. And so you end up with these back-to-back type days. And a lot of the measurement frameworks are built around optimizing the amount of time that you have available to look after clients. And so that's becomes a job, it's work, it's pressure all the time in sort of moving in that direction. Yeah. And your client only has access to you in that very exclusive moment. So they have to show up as well in that time slot in order to be able to get access to you. So when we think about digital first healthcare service delivery, we can actually start to develop and implement education, resources, automations, content that is nurturing the relationship with the client and guiding them through some strategies that can support their own stake in the outcome. And we're already understanding some of those frameworks around patient-reported outcome measures, patient-reported experience measures, but there are also things like the universal and long-lasting, for a good reason, relationship through communications like email or even chat, where you're able to not necessarily always think about supporting your clients as a one-to-one physical appointment. And so by using some of these digital thoughts and these digital systems, we're able to actually build that. I like to think of it as kind of like a digital fabric in between the traditional appointments. And that could then lead to having touch points through the therapy cycle where you no longer necessarily need to show up one-to-one for 10 appointments or 15 appointments, but you may just show up for 5 of the 10 appointments one-to-one. And then for the other 5 appointments, you do check-ins using telehealth or even using chat and supported by some of those digital health communication tools. And all of a sudden, you've saved, if you just did a very simple mathematical kind of equation, if we did 5 out of 10 traditional appointments in a digital model, that's almost a reduction of 50%. There's still a little bit of time with the touch points and some of the chat support that would happen in between, but certainly a big saving in time input that's needed to actually help nurture that client to the same result.
I'm going to ask you in a moment to explain how Core Plus is already supporting clients to achieve that model. For me, the example that comes to mind of that is the online course. I'm working with a lot of clients to build an online course in addition to the one-to-one services. And, for example, a psychologist will see people 50 minutes real time, and then what does that person go away and do in their daily life, and what kind of supported course with, yes, the ability to book in for telehealth if there's a sticking point in that process, can that person undertake for a deeper experience and deeper learning, and get themselves out of some of those old habits and old ways and move along in the new direction that is happening in the consults. There's so many examples of that. OT, we see, children going in and getting support through one-to-one sessions in OT or even in telehealth. And then the parents are being supported with online courses of, managing challenging behaviour, getting ready for school, transitioning to the next year level. There's so much that can be done in this digital space now that tops up that selling time. So tell us, Core Plus, how is this all, what are the bells and whistles that are allowing this to happen, Yanni? Because I'm hearing people say, gosh, that sounds like a big tech Mount Everest that I'd have to climb, and maybe that might hold me back from doing it. So simplify it for us.
Yeah, I think there's always that perception that tech is a bit of a mountain to climb. We do need cultural transformation to support the implementation of technology as well. So it is a human and a tech innovation working, concurrently with each other. But some of the concepts that I'm talking about are available right now as features within Core Plus. We've got a mapped out journey end to end for your client. So when your client is doing research, for example, online, they're able to find your keyword associated content. They hit a landing page. That landing page has a Core Plus feature in it called a Book Now button that allows the client to click that button, and that enters a private, secure and confidential portal that allows the client to then fill in your intake forms, provide you with demographic information, and really set up that first appointment. It also allows you to offer both in-person or telehealth capabilities, and the telehealth services are available natively within Core Plus, which means that you don't have to use third-party software that is separate. It's not integrated. So in our case, the telehealth system is integrated inside the clinical system. And what that means is that it also stays private and secure, and any file transfers that happen during those sessions are also within that privacy and security framework as well. But there's a couple of things that we've done that are slightly differentiated in that area. When a person is looking to make an appointment with your practice, your virtual practice or your physical practice, you're able to offer them time zone support, which means that your reach beyond your current postcodes is now available. You can actually start promoting access to your healthcare services anywhere in Australia now. And that means that a person could actually make a time that's suitable to their local time zone and suitable to your practitioner's time zone as well. And that makes for a very convenient, obviously, meeting, not having to manually handhold all that process. When it's fully branded, so it provides for a great user experience all the way through. So your own brand is represented to the customer, and it's very seamless in terms of their whole digital journey from a Google search engine right through to that first booking. Mm-hmm. And they're able to provide you with consents, upload any referral documentation or any other care plan information, depending on the type of services you're providing. And all of that gets set up nicely now for your first appointment. So you now have your first appointment ready with all the materials and all the information around that client to get going. And that kind of reduces that prior appointment filling in of a paper form and then having to transpose that, information into your system anyway. So we're sort of capturing all the information that you need just in time to make sure that you're as efficient as possible. And then when that first appointment is delivered, we have a communication automation framework that allows you to sequence in a systematic and repeatable way what you want therapy to be like. And that could be the combination of appointments, both physically and online through telehealth. That could be the communication that goes out via email or SMS that does at a minimum notifications around appointments coming up, or alternatively education and other resources, or perhaps even notifying them of a webinar, coming up, Megan, in terms of some of the stuff that Market Savvy is doing, and some of the other educational resources, FAQs. All of that can now be programmed through the whole journey of the client with your practice. And we also make it really easy for telehealth. So if you want to offer that, our telehealth capability is designed around what we call a high availability video engine. So it is a differentiated telehealth from a lot of video tools that are used by health providers in the market today. A lot of video tools that are taken up. It's a bit geeky, but they're called peer-to-peer WebRTC. And what that means is that the video quality and the audio quality is susceptible to the internet. And that means it can break, it can become very pixely, you'd lose the connection. There's a whole bunch of stuff that can happen. And that's not a great experience for a healthcare session. So we have a video engine server in between all the participants that makes sure that everybody's getting the best possible connection that they can, given their internet speed that's available at each of those endpoints. So that provides for a great experience. We also do some cool things with whiteboarding and collaboration online. And that allows for some of those dynamic parts of therapy where even though you've set up your sort of standard end-to-end process, there may be other things that you want to do in session, such as making notes or doing drawings or marking up charts or whatever the case is that allow that collaboration to work closely whilst we're, physically apart from each other. I could go on quite a bit around that. Let me know how far or how short you want me to pull up.
I just know that what I want to tell people is go on to Core Plus and sign up for a free trial and get started. That's what I want to say after all that amazing, you've done the depth of thinking behind the tool, and so the model is there ready for people. If you're interested in the online course side, I can teach you that. Have a look on Market Savvy website. There's online course success to learn how to take that traditional intellectual property that you've got and turn it into your online course. So that's two ways to get started in moving towards having a digital health practice.
Yep.
And Yanni, what as we start to wrap up, what else would you say? You're dealing with thousands and thousands of allied health practitioners, day in, day out. What's your advice on getting started and moving towards this new way of working?
Okay, so there's a few things I want to put a pin drop on if we can, just before we finish up, Megan. One is I want to circle back to the my peers and my team analogy at some point in time. But I'll just say very quickly that one of the biggest barriers to taking up digital health tools is time, and having enough time to be able to put into doing setup, designing your templates, implementing those, and then bringing your team on board as well. Life's very busy, and life for an allied health professional is super busy when you balance in their personal lives and dealing with client loads. And also there's a big demand for a lot of allied healthcare services at the moment as well. So that's an important consideration, is to sort of say, don't feel like you need to do it all on your own. We've got two teams that help all of our customers to be able to do the setups and the automations and the streamlining within the product. One of them is through our customer support team, which is manned 6 days a week through all of Australian business hours. And we also have a new member of our team. It's Corey. That's spelled CORE-Y. Corey's a artificial intelligence that we gave birth to last year. And Corey's now available 24/7 to help with a lot of the known knowns that most of our customers kind of go with. Now, he's still learning, he's still growing. So, give him a break if he's not exactly helping you right at the moment. We're teaching him every day. So that's there. And we also have bookable sessions with our customer success team to be able to sit down and handhold some of that setup and onboarding type process. So that's not charged. There's no extra fees for that. It's part of the service. We really understand how difficult it is to get going initially, but you certainly can do it at your own pace. We've got a lot of in-product support there as well. So I think that's a good first step. Our add-on marketplace is growing, and we have some great extensions of Core Plus that help you with online payments. We're designing much more complex online forms that can be sent out. So online payments through PIN payments. We do forms through Snap Forms. We have private health insurance covered. There's a plethora of digital health capabilities there that could be turned on at the right time for you. What was the other thing I just wanted to touch on there as well? The
getting started.
Yeah.
Words of wisdom.
One other thing, and this is kind of elevating it, so kind of departing from I guess the Core Plus feature set, but let's just sort of think macro level. There's a lot of demand for allied health, and I don't think that's going to taper off just because things improve with COVID or whatever the case is. Mm-hmm. I think that'll continue to grow, and I think that means that there will still be continued pressure on how you recruit and how you grow your own practice over time. So I think one of the understated benefits of digital first healthcare service experiences and designing your practice in a virtualized way is the potential to actually offer a better employee value proposition to future team members that you want to actually bring on. And I'll give you some reference points on the dramatic increase that we've seen. We've always been a hybrid office-based and online or remote team since 2009 when we started. But over the last 2 years, we've been fully remote. And all of our recruiting has increased by a factor of 10-fold in terms of the amount of applicants that come through. So we don't have any problem with attracting applicants to work for us. And the reason why is that the value proposition from 3 years ago versus 2 years ago has been built all around remote work. Mm-hmm. And people are just coming out of the woodwork who want that. They're really coveting it. They really want it. And that they're prepared to switch states, cities, and go to the places that they live, as long as they've got an income to support that particular goal. So that's just a little bit of personal experience that we've had with the power of actually designing your business through the lens of how you're going to attract and retain team members as well going forward.
And team members that are in different geographic areas, the challenge for anyone working with school-based children has always been filling that appointment book during 9 and 2. Well, if you're on the eastern seaboard, have some practitioners from Perth and they can start at 12:30 working with kids on the other side of Australia. All of those on and on and on benefits that just keep getting created out of a virtual world. Yanni, I'm desperate to talk about tribe and building your tribe, but I think we're going to hold that one over to our next conversation because you and I could talk for days. I'm so interested in that, from a marketing perspective, building that tribe of clients and patients where you are and, using social media, but really the focus is on having that tribe in your practice, not on third-party sites. So that's really important in the virtual landscape as well. And that tribe being part of your recruitment as well, like, starting to encourage graduates and, early practitioners in their career, that you're taking them on a journey to eventually work with you as well. Final thoughts before we wrap up and hold that over to part 2?
Look, I'd love to. I'd just say I'm advocating digital first healthcare service delivery going forward, not digital only. Mm-hmm. So I'm not suggesting that we abandon the traditional tried and tested qualities that are within the allied healthcare system model. Mm-hmm. What I'm saying is that let's start to scale the model of healthcare using digital first thinking, where we can sort of just incorporate some of that digital touch points into the mix that really take your access point to healthcare right to your client. It can be with them anywhere, anytime. It can be with them 24/7. And you can do the appointments within a manageable time frame for you and your team members. But then the digital tools do the rest of the heavy lifting through the course of therapy. And I believe that there will be a much better experience for everybody concerned. The client will get a better experience. The practitioner is going to get a better experience. It's going to be better for the business of healthcare in terms of financial sustainability. And it's just an overall, I think, I could expand it out into potentially being better for society because we're a more distributed population, much more happier and healthier in our respective regions. And that kind of opens up the tribe discussion there.
Yes, absolutely. So in the show notes, I'll include a link where you can have a look at more information from Core Plus and also the online course Success that I'm offering through Market Savvy. Yanni, thank you so much. A delight and a pleasure to chat with you. We could talk the legs off a chair, both of us.
Pleasure was all mine. Thanks, Megan. I really appreciate you having me on, and congratulations on the show.
Thank you. We'll talk to you soon. Bye, Yanni.
Bye-bye.